All right. We are live. Actually, we're already live. So I'm going to turn this music down. Hello, everyone. We have a very special guest with us on the Embracing Joy podcast today. Her name is Dr. Elisa Chiang, and she is oculoplastic surgeon and reconstructive surgeon, as well as the host of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. And she is also a certified coach, certified life coach, and she helps physicians grow their wealthy mindset. This topic today is very important because a part of embracing joy, especially for high achieving professionals, is getting into the mindset of being wealthy or having financial success as well. We know that a lot of people have financial stress or can become preoccupied with finances regardless of their income. So, this is such an important topic for us to address. Let me tell you more about Dr. Jiang. She earned her medical degree and doctorate in neuroscience from Case Western Reserve University through the Medical Science Training Program. And after completing her intern year, she completed her residency training at Northwestern and fellowship training at the Medical College of Wisconsin. She's a certified life coach and the founder, like I said, of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. And she believes that financially smart doctors are more empowered to practice medicine on their own terms. Her podcast is a way to help physicians gain the financial knowledge and mindset they need to achieve financial freedom. And she also continues to practice medicine and is an assistant professor at Case Western Reserve University, where she does oculoplastics and reconstructive surgery. Well, thanks for joining us today, Dr.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So we start the podcast with a quick warm-up game. It's just to get into the mindset of joy and just kind of being free and just saying the first word that comes to your mind. The game is called Mind Meld or Convergence. And you just say the first word. We're going to count to 3. And we both say the first word that comes to our mind. And you'll say a word, I'll say a word, and then we try to find something that connects the 2 words together for the next round. So for example, if I said cake and you said ice cream, we try to say them simultaneously. Maybe the next word we'll think of is party, right? Or something that connects those 2 words together.
All right, got it.
Okay, and we'll do that for a few. Let's start. So on the count of 3, say the first word that comes to your mind, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Excitement.
Money. I said money. Money and excited. Okay, all right. Excited and money. Let's say the word that brings those 2 together. Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. Lottery. Winning and lottery. That's pretty good. All right. So winning and lottery. Maybe I'm getting too specific. We try not to be too specific, but okay. Winning and lottery and put those 2 together. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Luck.
Millionaire.
Luck to millionaire. Okay. I said luck and millionaire. So ready? It's something that puts those 2 together. 1, 2, 3. Goodness.
Rare.
What did you say?
Rare. Like it's a rare thing.
Rare. Yeah. It's like I don't think it's possible. So it's hard for me to think of a word. Okay, let's think of another one. So rare and luck and millionaire. So 3, 2, 1. Wealth.
Yeah, nothing's really.
I know nothing's coming to me either. Let's see. Yeah. We can. Okay, so let's put we try to not be so specific because once I got very specific, it gets a little harder. So we'll try to like go back to something more of a broad term. So let's say um, between wealth and millionaire, let's think of something more broad.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Money.
Abundance. Abundance and money. Okay. Abundance and money. Um, something that puts those two together. 3, 2, 1. Mindset.
Entrepreneurship.
Mindset and entrepreneurship. They kind of go hand in hand. Yes. Entrepreneurship and mindset. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Growth.
Savviness.
Savviness and growth. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Success.
Yeah, I was like, I was thinking an example of what's possible, but I was like, what's one word for it?
What's one? I know sometimes it's multiple words that you're thinking or a sentence. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that gets us kind of like in the mindset of just being free. Sometimes we don't get to converge on the same word, but we kind of have converged on the ideas overall. Yeah, so we'll just get started with that. So now that we have warmed up a little bit and we're in the money mindset of abundance and growth, I'm not sure how much luck has to do with growing your mindset financially. I'm sure Dr. Elisa can tell us more. It's more than luck, right? It's more
I mean, it definitely takes luck to win something like the lottery, but it doesn't take any luck for you to grow your wealth and grow your wealthy mindset. Right?
okay.
That's all about intention.
Okay. Okay. Well, the first question I have for you, Dr. Elisa, is that what inspired you to transition from purely practicing medicine to helping physicians with their financial mindset? What was your journey like?
Yeah. So do you want the short answer or the whole story?
Well, I just, yeah, however you feel in the moment, however you
Yeah.
feel. Yeah.
So I really started learning about personal finances and investing while I was in medical school. So I did the MD PhD program at Case Western Reserve, which you mentioned before. And so that's, on average takes 8 years. And I did in Cleveland, Ohio. So it's a fairly low cost of living city. So a lot of us, especially if we're married, and I was married, I got married young, will actually buy a primary residence to live in during that time. And so it was that process, just learning all. So this was back before the 2008 like crash with the housing crisis. And part of it was that before that crash is that like your dog could get a mortgage, like anyone could literally get a mortgage. So like my husband was literally, I'm not sure that I think he was substitute teaching at the time. I had a stipend of $20,000 a year, and we were able to qualify for $120,000 in mortgage money.
Wow.
I know, really. Yeah. So, but there were all these crazy financial products. And so I really spent time kind of researching and learning to try to figure out like what would be best for us. And so I just kind of went down the rabbit hole and started learning all about personal finance and then investing. And so that's where the money part actually comes in. The helping physicians part really, you know, well, actually, I would say even started then because one of my friends from medical school, she has joked with me that I was really her first coaching client because I was teaching her, and I would talk to my friends or anyone who listen about things about like personal finance and investing and how, because I really learned how important it is to do it. The younger you do it, the more time you have for that money to grow, the more you allow compound interest to do its magic. And so even during residency, I really tried to talk to all my co-residents about putting money into a Roth IRA and really try and convince them like, look, if you really need the money, you can take out what you contribute, but whatever you can put in there, like that money will continue to grow and help build your wealth. So it's always kind of been part, I guess, of my personality or nature to teach on this and to educate. But what really, I guess, brought me to the point of actually creating a business to do it was partially the pandemic. So before the pandemic happened, I was highly considering starting my own private practice. And then when the pandemic happened, I was like, thank God I don't have a lease I'm paying. I don't have staff to be worrying about. And that is also when I discovered life coaching.
Mhm.
And so I got coaching myself. And then because of the pandemic, I wasn't traveling. So traveling is my number one passion and where I spend the majority of my disposable income. And because I wasn't doing that during COVID,
Mhm.
I had kind of extra money from vacations that were canceled. And I went ahead and just did a life coaching certification to kind of learn the tools better. I could see how my mindset was really changing with the coaching I was getting. And then it came down to, well, would I rather open a private practice in medicine that has all the regulations and rules and dictates by insurance, and or do I want to try to do something where there's really little regulation and I could still help a lot of people and help kind of who I see as like my people, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
great to help patients, it's great to help like anyone, but
Mhm.
I do identify with other physicians being a physician, and to help kind of my friends and colleagues, I think really made that hit home for me.
Wow. So, yeah, you really had a kind of a long journey into it because you had started, investing and learning, from a pretty young age, which I'm sure is great for your investment as far as time in the market and growth. But that you have also been able to tailor your what you've learned to help, your community as physicians, especially. Who what would so as far as physicians, most of us would think that physicians make a decent amount of money. Why don't they have this mindset already, right? Or
Well, so there's a difference between having a high income and actually having high wealth. So there's this phrase Henry, high earner, not rich yet, right?
Mhm,
Because a physician could be making a multiple six-figure income and have a negative net worth due to the cost of just our medical training.
mhm,
And we're really in a unique situation when it comes to finances because of our long training period, because of most of us taking out huge amounts of debt in order to obtain that training, and then having a really later start in life in terms of actually earning that high income. Right, by the time, like, I was in my, 30s by the time I became an attending,
mhm,
and I actually personally don't have children, but had I wanted to have children, I would have probably started before I finished all my training, just, from a biological standpoint,
mhm,
and, when it's never a good time to have kids in a way, right? Uh, and so that also leads to, additional expenses, because when you're in residency and you're working 60, 70, 80 plus hours a week, some people working more than 80, even though theoretically regulations say not that, right? And
mhm,
then you're financially, it's hard, like you're going to need help in order to, raise young children during that time. So we have a lot of uh, a different, like, as opposed to, people who even go to law school, like, yes, they may get a lot of debt from law school, but the actual, it's what, I think law school is only 3 years.
I think
Well,
it's 4.
or
Yeah, I
is it
think
is it
I'm
4
not
years?
sure. Yeah, I
Anyway,
think it's
but, like,
4
they don't have
years.
residency, right? They don't have
Right.
the additional
They
training
can work,
period,
yes, mhm.
right?
Yeah, they can work.
And then people who go into, like, corporate, like, right after undergrad, I mean, they may take time off to do an MBA, but, like, my sister did her MBA while she was working,
Mhm,
and, so they're putting money into their retirement accounts from, their early 20s,
right.
and that difference in time really makes a huge difference in terms of growing well.
Mhm,
So there are a lot of physicians out there where they may work even long careers, 20, 30-year careers, and not actually build wealth at the end. So there was a survey done by Medscape in 2019 where it was a survey report, and physicians self-reported their net worth.
mhm,
24% of physicians age 65 and older had a net worth of under $1 million, which
mm,
means that they really can't retire unless they've been working for something like the VA or a government hospital or someplace where they're going to have like a large pension.
mm,
Because if you follow the 4% rule with $1 million, that means living on $40,000 a year. So $40,000 a year, even if you like add on, 20,000 for Social Security, I mean, you're talking about living on less than what residents make these days.
mhm. Right, so it'll be a if they did do that, it would be a huge change in their lifestyle, right?
Right.
And then, of
Well,
course, at the
especially if they
age,
have yeah, if they
it's
haven't
like
built
going
that
from a
wealth, that means they've
physician
been
income,
spending it, right?
yeah, going from a regular physician salary to 40K a year, that would be a huge hit in their personal expenses, right? And especially if they live in a high cost of living area, that would be a huge adjustment. And of course, as we get older, they're more expensive as far as like healthcare expenses that they may need, or care that they may need. So, wow, that's very eye opening that like more than 20% of physicians above 65 wouldn't be able to retire, right?
Right, and unfortunately, I've talked to some of these physicians, people who continue to work because they really have to, uh, they've had full careers, but they, either made bad investments decisions or just didn't realize that they needed to fund their own retirement.
Mm. Yeah. So tell me in general, like how do you think mastering personal finance and wealth building can contribute to the overall joy and well-being for high achieving professionals or physicians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, it's not that money can buy happiness per se, but lack of money can certainly cause unhappiness, right?
Right.
And lack of money can certainly cause a lot of stress
Mhm.
and really decrease joy. And when you do have money, then you can find ways to use it to bring you joy, right? You can now focus your mindset on spending in order to maximize your joy, and the rest of it is all mindset. So, I mean, there have been multiple studies that show that once you hit a certain amount of income and that those numbers deviate, that after that, more income doesn't actually produce more, happiness or quality of life or whatever metrics they're using.
Mhm.
And we as physicians typically do meet that minimum income. In the United States, it's considered to be at, I think it was $205,000 for a family of four.
Mm, mhm.
So, uh, and so then it's all about like, well, how do you now, knowing that if you earn that and you're not happy, you're not finding happiness, what do you need to do to change? Right. And it's not necessarily about making more money, but it can be about how you spend your money, what your mindset is, right? If you're all the time trying to keep up with the Jones, um, you know, things can get astronomically expensive. But like, does driving a you know one luxury car, like, does that actually bring you joy? For some people it does. Some
Mhm.
people really love cars, and me, like, I drive a Honda Civic. I want
Mm,
something reliable and comfortable that's going to get me from point A to point B. And I did test drive like Audis and Mercedes Benz and thinking I'm an attending, maybe I should get an attending car. I just
mhm,
could not even justify having a car that costs 2 to 3 times what my current car, costs, which is paid off, um, in order to just kind of fit a certain um, perceived notion of what a doctor should be driving.
mhm. Right. So that comparison with others can be something that affects the money mindset that physicians may have, and also it can, well, right. So that comparison of thinking like, oh, once I get to this certain level in life, I'm expected to have certain things, as far as like, the car, the house, maybe private school for the kids, or you may feel, mm, that you're expected to make certain financial decisions that you may not have the finances for, right? Or coming into the mindset where, what should I invest in? Like, which things should I invest in as far as my daily life, or invest in my future self, right? So it's a balance between, you know, caring for yourself in the present, and then caring for yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now, so that you're not the one that has to continue to work.
Right.
So
And even finding ways like, once you get to the point where I mean, I say like there's different levels of financial freedom. So once you get to the point of what I call survival financial freedom, where like your basic needs are covered, your mortgage, your utilities, whatnot, but maybe not like your vacations. Well, then if you're in a bad situation at work, that you could leave that situation and your family's going to be fine. Like there's still going to be food on the table.
Mhm.
And also, you're in a much better place to negotiate when you're coming from that area because you could actually walk. You could actually go find the time. You have the time to go find a position that you actually enjoy working at. And
Mhm.
you can take the time because you're in a financial position that you don't need that income.
Yeah, I think, like you said, having your finances in order can relieve a lot of stressors in that way. Definitely. Um,
And I have
and
to say, I enjoy practicing medicine much more part-time than I did when I was full-time. It just
Mhm,
gives me a lot more time to kind of just do the other things that I love to do that also bring me joy.
mhm,
And it's not that, I dislike practicing medicine, but, there are obviously always ups and downs of everything, right? There are things that are great, like sometimes the patient gratitude or when you get a really great surgical result for a patient.
mhm,
But then there are other times where like you just get buried with regulations and paperwork and, they having to do all the prior authorizations and do a peer call for someone who obviously like, needs this procedure that it would
mhm.
really help improve their vision.
Right, it gives you time away, and sometimes, you need a certain time away to go back and enjoy to realize that how much you enjoy what you're able to do as far as, restoring eyesight and reconstructive surgery, things that you're able to do are pretty amazing. But if you do it all the time, it's easy to get frustrated, especially with certain other aspects, like you said, paperwork or administrative tasks. But having that break where you can do other things that you enjoy, such as your podcast, and you coaching other physicians, I'm sure that's restorative for you. Can you tell us how you personally embrace joy in your daily life while managing your different roles? Um, and what
Yeah.
advice you would have maybe for someone else that was managing multiple roles to kind of take some time for, embracing their personal joy as well?
So I'm a big fan of like planning and what I call calendaring. So I really put on my calendar like all the things that need to be done, and set specific time frames for it. But that also means planning fun things on there, planning exercise on there, planning rest on there, so that knowing that all those things are fit in, means that I can work hard during the times where it's planned to work, and knowing that like there's going to be time for me to go exercise, knowing that there's going to be time where I'm going to be spending with my husband, that there's time where I'm going to do things that I enjoy. And on any given day, there may not be what we call work-life balance. There may be days where it's really a lot more work and not as much fun stuff. And then there may be other days where there's a lot more fun stuff. And so but finding a way when you plan, then you can see how it's working out and you can balance it out and figure out what you need more of. Or, there are times where I see like, oh, I'm giving this talk here. I have to prepare the slides here. And so I should not take on these other things. Or maybe I want to consider like actually earlier this year, I canceled going to a conference I originally signed up for because I had
Mhm,
gotten invited to two other conferences to speak at. And
mhm,
so when I just looked at my travel schedule, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the conference where I was invited to speak at, and I'm not going to do the conference that I just planned to go to, which I knew would be fun. And I knew I would get to see a lot of people that I would love to see and learn things that would be good to learn. But I also knew that at some point, as much as I love travel, I also still need a rest and be able to do things like make sure my podcast gets out every week.
mhm. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that's key, and I don't think a lot of us think to do that. It's like we think about putting all of the work-related things on our calendar or all of the tasks that require us to be present for other people, but putting those times that are important for our self-care, such as that rest and our exercise and our time for rejuvenation, like to making sure that we add that into the calendar. And then also look in advance so that you're not going to multiple, if you see that you're traveling uh, too much in a particular month, like you did, being able to review that ahead of time and say, you know what, let me cancel this one. And so that I can be well rested for the conferences that I'm speaking at. I think that's very insightful because we don't, a lot of times we just want to push ourselves, right? Because a lot of physicians have come from that resident mindset where they have been working 80 hours or they have been just prone to pushing themselves. Um, it's kind of, um, it's kind of like an act of resistance to not to be like, you know what, I'm actually going to prioritize a little rest for myself instead of pushing myself to see how far I can go this month. And of course, taking into account your health and how you're feeling as well. So yeah, I think that's great advice. So we're gonna have the wrap up questions now. I think this was a great conversation. I know you've helped a lot of physicians with your personal coaching. Is your coaching one on one? Do you have classes or
I
mostly
do
one?
one-on-one coaching, so it is personalized to each individual client, and so they can really feel free to discuss as much of the details of their finances as they want.
Okay. And I know that you said your podcast, you have a new episode every week at the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. But before we go into where you can find and learn more about Dr. Elisa, let's do the wrap up questions. So, who is a model of joy for you in your life?
So I'm gonna say Taylor Swift. I'm a total Swiftie. I have all her albums. I've been to multiple of her concerts, and I'm gonna say that because she obviously loves what she does. I mean, she
Mhm,
loves being an artist. She writes her own music. She creates her own path, and she really like connects with her fans in a way that I think just shows so much joy.
mhm,
And she's been like crazy successful businesswoman. I think she has clear values that she upholds. She's one of those celebrities that you don't hear stories about her like getting drunk and acting crazy.
mhm,
So I just really admire and respect her, but also see that like I think she's really embracing like life to the fullest, and she really also shares a lot of intimate details with her fans, and
mhm.
I think we can see the joy that she gets out of life.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. As far as if you were cooking a cake of joy, what would be your top three ingredients and why?
So freedom is just my number one value.
Mhm,
And like I really love my own autonomy. It's one of the reasons why I have left previous workplace situations.
mhm,
And it's the reason why I really looked to getting financial freedom so that I did not have to work anywhere, that I had that freedom. Uh,
mhm,
and then exploration, travel, like I said, is like my passion. I just love exploring new places and, just even walking the streets of new cities. And, uh, and let's see, the third,
mhm,
I'm going to say love, right?
mhm,
Because connection with people. Um,
mhm,
as humans, I think we all have that need to be connected, and so I love my husband very much.
mhm,
Close to my sister and my mom, and uh, have you know I like to think I have a few deeper friendships probably, uh,
mhm.
but maintaining those over the course.
Yeah, yeah. I think those are so important. And great values that are a great recipe for joy. Right, having that freedom, being able to explore and be curious about the world, and then having good relationships where of course, we're not alone on this earth, but having good relationships with your people that you are able to love and support, who are also able to love and support you back, is just a blessing that we have. So this is a great conversation. So to learn more about you, like anyone who's listening who wants to learn more, or if they're a physician and they want to learn more about growing their healthy mindset, how can the audience find you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, so my website is www.growyourwealthymindset.com.
Mhm.
My email is growyourwealthymindset@gmail.com. You'll keep noticing that, my Instagram handle is Grow Your Wealthy Mindset, and I'm
Mhm.
on Facebook as well. And that's just under my name. There is a business page, Grow Your Wealthy Mindset, but Facebook doesn't show anything from a business page unless it's all pay to play.
Yeah, well, this was a great conversation. I hope that all the listeners who um, would would want to learn more about growing their wealthy mindset, of course, they can tune into your podcast. And if they want to work one on one to learn more about their particular situation and they need more coaching to grow their wealthy mindset and to practice in a way that they can feel more free, right? Have that freedom to practice and work on their terms, and also have that ability to walk away if they need to, based because their finances are taken care of. I think that's so important, and I think that will bring a lot more peace of mind and joy to the practice of medicine when you are working because you want to and not because you feel like forced or obligated to financially. I think that's an important concept as well. So it was a pleasure having you, Dr. Elisa.
Yeah, thanks
That
so much for having me on.
yeah, that's the end of this today's episode. Make sure that you like this episode, that you share it with a friend, share it with physicians that may be interested in learning more about growing their wealthy mindset, because having that mindset as far as abundance and creating wealth is also a key to embracing joy in their lives. So take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.